Good morning and happy 4th of July to my countrymen. Celebrating 249 years as a country. Next year's the big one, 250 next year. But happy 4th of July to everyone. If you're enjoying your day off, have fun. If you have to work, thank you for working on a holiday so the rest of us can enjoy a day off. I decided not to go downtown near the National Mall today. There's too much going on. Streets are blocked off and the preparations for tonight's celebrations and fireworks are underway. But I did want to get out and walk today. I'm at the corner of 14th Street and P Street in Northwest Washington, D.C. And we're headed to Logan Circle. There are some amazing homes and some beautiful architecture here on this circle. I've not done this walking tour, so you'll be coming along with me to check out the sights. I'm walking east on P Street. If you're joining for the first time and you've not visited Washington, D.C., it's a wonderful, absolutely wonderful walking city. Empty streets. Hi, good morning. It's because it's so early. It's not even 7 o'clock here. It's 6:57 here in the morning. That's why it's so empty here. But we're headed to Logan Circle to take a look at the architecture. And along the way, we're going to appreciate some other buildings too. This looks like good old early 1900s architecture here, the Rockingham. But this is where we're going today. Hi, good morning, Michael. I know, mornings are wonderful. Hey, Space Nut. Happy the Explorers Rebellion Day. Yes, yes, it is Colonial Colonists Rebellion Day. But this is what we're going to check out today, P Street. So if you're new to Washington, D.C., the streets that run east to west are lettered, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, etc. And we're up on P Street. And then the streets that go north and south are numbered. So 13th Street, we just left 14th Street. The streets that are diagonal that connect our traffic circles, where our kind of important points in the city are usually named after states. So here you see Vermont, Rhode Island, Massachusetts is a few blocks away, Indiana, Maryland, etc. Hi, Atheistus. Please forgive me for that. Great to see you. Thanks for joining. So we're going to take a look at the architecture in this neighborhood. The architecture we've looked at previously when we were on Massachusetts Avenue near the embassies. Those were those Gilded Age mansions, those really big, huge mansions where the rich and the wealthy lived. And then those were, in some cases, abandoned during the Great Depression and then occupied, thankfully, by foreign missions who came in and occupied the spaces and made sure that they survived. Hi, Brandon Scully. Very nice to see you. The birds chirping. The birds are beautiful. So I will be quiet a little bit when we start walking. But I wanted to just talk a little bit about these homes, these 3- and 4-story homes with a basement. These are obviously were residences in the 1800s. And these were, kind of the upper middle class residences here in Washington, D.C. This is the architecture on this side of the city, kind of, I will say, east of Connecticut Avenue, is a little different. More residential space, nice residential spaces. You'll find that they look more like what you might see in New York, like New York brownstones. They're more ornate than the smaller federal style, more compact row houses in the other parts of the city. Thank you, Brandon. I really appreciate that. Thank you. But let's start moving here and enjoy the beautiful morning. There's a pretty porch. The great thing about this neighborhood and so many neighborhoods like it is that there's been a concerted effort really to preserve the historic architecture. I find this traffic circle to remind me of like a southern small town or even a city, because you'll see here as we walk up here, there are porches and balconies. And I tend to associate that more with the South than the North. The reason being the weather. The farther north you get, the less time you have to be out on a porch. When the weather gets cold, you won't want to be there. So we'll go around the circle and then we'll come back to this one because this is a historic home. But this block here, hi Dylan. Yes, I'm in Washington, D.C. I'm in the Logan Circle area celebrating Independence Day here in Washington, D.C. It's a not too hot morning. It's a little hazy today, so it's not my lens. A little bit hazy. It's not pollution today. It's not. It's just a little hazy. But from here, this is a very unique and iconic row of homes here on this circle. And we'll cross over and get a better view. But just take a look. I mean, some of these are 5-story homes. These would have been mansions. I mean, I would still call them mansions today. This is where your wealthy politicians would have lived back in the day, back in the mid to late 1800s, and then continuing on through the early 1900s. And now these are apartment buildings. Some of them are preserved. We'll walk around and we'll see. And we'll take a look. And then this is Logan Circle. And I must confess, I don't know who Logan Circle is named after. We're going to find out. So walking around the circle from where we started on P Street, this is now Rhode Island Avenue. And you can get a glimpse of this amazing mansion here. But we're going to cross over so we can get a little distance so we can really appreciate. Thank you, Dylan. Thanks for not holding a grudge. Happy Independence Day to my countrymen. Yeah, this one for sure is a dream. This one is just fantastic. Thank you, Space Nut. We're going to walk up to his monument in a second and just see who he was. I have lived and worked in Washington, D.C., in and around Washington my whole life. And this is one of those I did not know who it is. I know who Sheridan Circle belongs to. I know who Washington Circle, obviously. DuPont Circle, I know that one. Didn't know Thomas Circle. But this one here, I could just stand here for hours and admire this one. It's absolutely fantastic. It's a duplex. So we'll get a closer look after we back up and admire the buildings. Then we'll get closer so we can read the signs. But I certainly want to be able to admire the beautiful architecture. Especially on a beautiful sunny day with a blue sky. It makes for a great scene. Hi, JSST. We're in Washington, D.C. We're at Logan Circle celebrating our nation's independence by admiring some historic architecture here. So we just walked from P Street. We're coming around the circle, but I do want to jump into the circle and check out Mr. Logan's statue. I'm not going to shoot right into the sun. It is a beautiful, glorious sunrise today. It's 7:05 in the morning. We have our nice historic plaque here. The Logan Circle Historic District possesses a rich history. In 1791, Père L'Enfant selected this elevated terrain for the intersection of two grand avenues. and it failed to attract development until after the Civil War, when influential residents such as John A. Logan helped create one of the city's fashionable, exclusive neighborhoods. That is true. It's an old, beautiful circle, but it didn't rise to prominence like some of the other circles, other neighborhoods in Washington. Oops. Okay. I was trying not to shoot into the sun, and then I just did. So let's get this correct. Independence from what? Independence from our now great friends, Great Britain. All right, so sorry for the sun. All right, here's the statue of the man himself, John Logan of Illinois. Well, good on you, John. Thank you for encouraging the development of this area, because we have this beautiful architecture to appreciate today. That's pretty cool. And it is a quiet, the traffic obviously will pick up as we go through the day, but it is a relatively quiet area for this time of the morning. Thank you all for joining. I appreciate it. I do little impromptu walking tours around Washington, D.C. when I get a free minute. And I'm a researcher and an historian in my free time, and a writer. And I started making little shorts and videos to log my research, to help me keep track of where I was. Because I wasn't so good at writing notes, because I was always running around. And then I started live streaming, and then people started joining me. So thank you. I'm not a real YouTuber, but I'm really happy to have folks along with me when I'm walking. Now this is 13th Street, and you can see I'm facing south in the direction of the National Mall and all the main buildings down there. I'm not even going to venture to guess which buildings are down at the end of this street. It would be like the Department of Commerce building and such like that. And then here's another view of that beautiful building we saw. We'll walk around from a distance so that we can appreciate the architecture, and then we'll get a little closer and we'll read the signs. Well, thank you, Big Dog. Hey, Big Dog, how you doing? Great to see you. Thanks for joining. And I didn't do what I said I was gonna do. I didn't spray down with bug spray. Last week on my stream around Massachusetts, was it Massachusetts? Where was I? Calorama. I don't know, about halfway through the stream you hear me say, ow, a mosquito. And then a few minutes later you hear me say, ow, a mosquito. I got home, I had 16 mosquito bites in the middle of a city. Who knew? But it's that time. It's definitely that time of year. Oh well. Now these obviously are more modern. I would say modern. I'll say 1900s construction. Probably mid 1900s. Peppered with some more recent additions and renovations. But I think what you'll find here is that any of the newer construction really maintains the character of the neighborhood, as all new constructions should. I do apologize when we catch the sun. The sun's at that angle this morning. I know I started like before 7 this morning. I don't know what I was thinking. It's a beautiful day. Now check this one out. This is lovely. This is the corner of P Street and Logan on the east side of the circle. So we started out at P Street and Logan on the west side of the circle. get out of the muck here and try to shield from the sun a little bit. But what a beautiful, beautiful design here on the corner. Many of these homes, and I won't shoot that way, many of these homes also have what I'll call smart little gardens. In the space that they have for gardens. Characteristic wrought iron fences, some grates around the windows, wrought iron railings, a handful of marble steps, not the typical white marble steps like in Baltimore, but a handful. Lots of granite, lots of brick, and I'm okay with the painted brick as well. When done correctly and when done with care, painted brick looks fantastic. We'll take a look back here. Hey, good morning, Tomby. You are owned by the, you know, sometimes I wouldn't mind being owned by the British. I have a lot of British friends, like Tomby and others. I love the UK. I'm fortunate to get to travel there once in a while, so I do love the UK. And we've mended our little disagreement that we had in 1776 and then again in 1812. We're good friends now. But as you can tell, these are larger structures than what we saw in Georgetown and some other areas. So, as I mentioned, this is where the wealthier set lived. Today, these are apartments. But these grand residences back in the day would have been pretty magnificent. And there's one across the street. Okay, I'm going to be super careful to cross the street here. Oh, and a cyclist. Okay. Thing is with the cyclists, like, they do not give to you-know-whatevers. All right, walking quickly across the street. Sorry. And this is, it could be the French. This is Vermont, Logan Circle and Vermont Avenue. So let's check out the Logan Circle Heritage Trail. Different parts of Washington, D.C. have these heritage trails. And so I've been to the one up near Tenallytown. There's one downtown D.C. like Penn Quarter. So we've seen these signs everywhere around Washington, D.C. Because D.C. is built on a grid pattern and because you have signage, you can't get lost. If you have one day, yes, definitely plan out your route. If you have more than a day here, just get out and wander. Just get out and wander. You can't get lost. I think you'll find some really cool things. Here's a interesting photo of some lovely ladies on their bikes. And then here's a map to show where we are. So just south of here would be Thomas Circle. We're at number 7 here on the walking trail. And then on the other side, some photos from the interiors. Yes, if these mansions could talk. Oh, for sure. So 15 Logan Circle was home to the Korean legation, which is really the beginning of like an embassy, a foreign mission relationship. And here we go here. Oh my gosh, what a great picture that would make. All right, I'm not gonna stop the stream to take a photo, but I'll come back. Oops, sorry, son. I'll come back with my big girl camera and take a photo. Okay, just blinded myself there. That's beautiful. So that was the original home of Korea in Washington, D.C. before there was a Korean embassy, which we visited last week. So what day was that? Was that Sunday? I think it was Sunday. And we saw several embassies on Sunday. The Embassy of Japan, Korea, Chad. Can't even name them all. We saw a ton. But that's a beautiful, beautiful shot. And then this building right next door. We'll check this one out on the corner. Get a better view. But this has a very generous garden here. And this one here. So this is 13th Street, Northwest. Oh, that's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. City chic, okay? And then here's a better view of the Korea building. Lovely. Just lovely. I'm going to be saying that all day today. Lovely. I do. Space. I like the mix. I like the mix of the rounded. I really just like to see a variety. I wouldn't like to see the same style house after house after house. And that's why I'm attracted to cities like DC and Philadelphia and Baltimore and New York, because you have these pockets with just a variety of architecture and beautiful, varying styles and colors and shapes. Like this row here. Like this row here. All right, I'm gonna be super careful and cross back over. If we get too close, you can't really appreciate it. And then we end up shooting into the sun again. I don't know why my voice changes when I squint. I do apologize. I realize that happens. And look at this one next to the corner building. This light brick with the green roof. Quite interesting there. Like a French influence. Have those, I don't know what you call it, those scrolls, those cartouches above the door. You see those in those bank buildings that we've seen, like when we're doing our walks during through the neighborhoods of Baltimore and Philadelphia. Those bank buildings have those architectural accents. Hello, Karushumu. Hi, Wyatt. The corner house looks like a Royal Tenenbaums was shot in. I don't know. I've not seen that film. We're in Northwest Washington, D.C. We are in Logan Circle. We're here in our nation's capital to celebrate Independence Day, but we're here to appreciate beautiful, beautiful architecture. It does, there's a European influence. We'll also see from time to time a Spanish influence. Even here in Washington, Baltimore, Philadelphia, every once in a while an architect would decide to throw a Spanish, with a beautiful terracotta roof and the mission style thrown into this kind of architecture. We saw it at Corkerin Circle, where I believe what is today the Embassy of Latvia is definitely in a Spanish style. So yeah. But yeah, it's European because that's where most of the inhabitants and owners and architects came from. The French influence that, which this one really isn't, but sort of kind of a mansard roof where you have the light stone and light brick, and then you have the dark slate tile roof. That's the mansard Second Empire style. Hi, Fabian. Great to see you. One of the features I absolutely love, and we don't see it as much in Washington as we do in Baltimore, is the stained glass windows above the door, usually with the house number or some kind of feature. And here we have some stained glass here around the windows, but it's not the one above the door. And in Baltimore, that's pretty typical. But here we've got some interesting glass work. Those squares, almost an arts and crafts type look around the windows here on this one. But this entire block, what a great, again, what a great walking tour. I, of course, strongly recommend visiting monuments and memorials when you come to Washington, D.C. But if you can find time to take a day and just wander through these residential neighborhoods, particularly in Northwest, but in other parts of Washington, D.C. too, what you'll find is really interesting architecture and, of course, history throughout the entire city, away from all the big monuments and memorials. There is so much to see here. Hi, howdy, howdy. Hello, Sec. Hi, Fabian. Great to see everyone today. You know what? The last few streams I've been streaming super early, and I'm shocked how many people joined me. So thank you. And yeah, we'll just enjoy the birds here, I think, for a minute. That's what's great about having a city that has planned green space as well as the beautiful architecture. You get a lot of birds. Get a lot of squirrels too. When Tommy was here, he was a little bit interested in the squirrels. We are a little not happy with this. I think gray squirrels, because you guys have different squirrels over in the UK. Now this one's really, I'm going to keep using the word interesting, and for that I apologize. This one's different, this greenish stone on this one. Now this one has big windows, so it's going to catch the sun. Thank you, Space Nut. I appreciate that. But we'll take a look back here. Sometimes it's hard to photograph because there is so much green space. There's always a tree branch in the way, but that's a good thing. That's a good thing. And then if we got too close to the structures, then you really couldn't appreciate the design. And also, people live here. And it's 7:23 in the morning, so I don't want to be too disturbing this early in the morning. Now we're back around close to where we started. And this is the building. I do want to cross the way. And I do want to start looking at some of the historic markers on these structures. And you can tell just literally in the 20 minutes that it's taken us to go around this circle, the traffic's gotten much heavier. So folks are waking up. So we're going to be super careful, and we're not going to cross the street until we have the little walkie dude that tells us it's okay to cross. But that's okay. We'll get a chance to look at these buildings and listen to the trees. Hi, Michelle. Bonjour. And thank you. Merci. And please forgive my terrible French. I did study several years of French. But when you grow up in Baltimore and you have that Baltimore accent, it's very difficult to displace a Baltimore accent with a beautiful French accent. So I do apologize. Oh, you're too kind. Hello, Pilato. We're in Washington, D.C. This is Logan Circle, and we are appreciating the beautiful, beautiful architecture here in this part of Washington, D.C. This is away from the monuments and the memorials. This is just a wonderful place to walk and take in all of the beautiful 19th century architecture. There might even be a little history before that. I don't think so in this area. I don't think we go back to the 1700s in this area. So this house, this You got birds, you got motorcycles. So this house was the John Logan house. So John Logan, as we saw when we checked out his memorial, which is in the middle of the circle here, he was a businessman and did I say he was a congressman? Yep, congressman from Illinois who developed this area as a beautiful residential area, and then also helped to bring some business to this part of Washington, D.C. so that this area would flourish. So there's that beautiful mansion we saw at the beginning of our walk. And here's this, I'll call this the variety block, punctuated at the end with the Korea house. And then back to John Logan's house. Really stunning. The convergence here, Peace Street, Rhode Island Avenue, Vermont Avenue, and 13th Street here on this circle. So we've done the circle, now we're gonna take a little side trip down one of the side streets. Morning. And we can get some close-up views of some of the features. This is number 6 Logan. It has a name on it, and I'm sorry, I can't read. Someone from the United States Navy who lived here in 1878. But that sign is really far away above the door. There's some interesting carving work into the stone here on this beautiful building. Check that out. I'm a big fan of wrought iron. I think that looks quite beautiful. It is, look at that. Just look at that. And really, let me go backward to this one here. Now this one, much more simple. A really simple staircase, but quite beautiful with these little touches here, these ornamentation here. And there we go, there is the stained glass transom window over this one. Thank you, Pilato. I appreciate that. Thank you. I try to get out and walk 2 or 3 times a week, weather depending, of course. I have done walks in the rain. It was fun for me. Not so fun for the viewers, I'm sure. All right, now we'll get to look at a little more closely at some of these homes. So this is number 8, DuPont Circle, with the beautiful Roman numeral above the door. And this is number 9. I'm sorry, I believe I said DuPont Circle. This is Logan Circle. Logan Circle, not DuPont Circle. Sorry about that. This says the Pratt House. The preservation of the Pratt House conforms to the National Park Service, etc., etc. Okay, I don't know Pratt who? Who Pratt? This is the Pratt House, number 9, Logan Circle, not DuPont Circle. Yeah, I think most of these, even though they're preserved, I think most of these are now private apartments or flats. I don't think anyone could afford to own these homes. Well, I mean, I'm sure someone could own these homes outright and just use them as a grand residence. So this one, okay, this has a name on it. Number 11, Charles M. Sweet Daddy Grace brought his United House of Prayer for all people of the church, let's try that again. United House of Prayer for all people of the church on the rock of the apostolic faith. Could that possibly be? We'll wait for the traffic. Could that possibly be the longest name of a church ever? United House of Prayer for all people of the church on the rock of the apostolic faith. That's a good one. Mr. Sweet Daddy Grace from Cape Verde. And this was his. Number 11 at Logan Circle. Number 12, again, look at the carving above the door. You know, from across the way, we obviously can get the full scope and size of the architecture. But look at the carving above the door, those little tiles with the sunflower motif, really, in those little tiles. And at the tippy top, there's a finial of a flower pot with flowers, or a flower vase with flowers. And some artwork here in this garden. We're in the middle of the city, but there's obviously a lot of green space. And some residents definitely take good care to keep their gardens up. And here's that one with the scroll work we looked at, number 14 Logan Circle. Dr. T.C. Smith must have lived here. Hi, my halo. And a hibiscus, I think. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I think we've got a hibiscus here. Good morning, everyone. Wow, I can't believe so many people have joined me so early in the morning. So I want to say thank you. On my early morning walking tour, no trespassing. Yes, we won't. This is Korea, the Korea house. And I'm not even gonna, the sidewalk here is so narrow and there's no shoulder. So traffic's going really fast around this block. So I'm sorry, I'm not gonna step into the street here. But everywhere you go, and obviously this is on the National Register of Historic Places, and it is magnificent. So if you missed the broader view, go back to the beginning of my video. If you're just joining now, I walked all around Logan Circle from the actual circle so that you can appreciate these homes, you know, the entire structure. Now we're just close up, so you're not able to really see the entire structure. So please go back to the beginning and check it out. I usually upload these videos the next day. It takes so long to render that I usually update the next day. And this is absolutely beautiful. And I'll just say hello so as not to be rude. How beautiful. Good morning. Just admiring the garden. It's really beautiful. I never like to sneak up on people when I'm filming. And everyone's so friendly. So if you get out and you do some exploring, say hi. Hi, me.doctor. This is Washington, D.C., believe it or not. This is Logan Circle in Washington, D.C., and we have just looked at some magnificent buildings directly on the circle. Now we're taking a little side trip down one of the side streets. So thank you for joining. It is one of those beautiful blue skies, sunny mornings. It's a little hazy. That's not pollution, it's just haze. Well, I guess some would say it has to be pollution of some sort. It's just haze. We're on, I believe, 13th Street. Did we say 13th? When we get to an intersection, we'll see what street I'm on. I think I'm on 13th Street. And we're admiring all the beautifully preserved architecture from the mid to late 1800s. And I know for those of you around the world, that's not very old, but for the United States, celebrating our 249th birthday today, buildings that were built in the 1800s, they are very old for us. Well, thank you, me.doctor. Now, as we get into the residential neighborhood, it does get harder to see the larger buildings sometimes. Now, this is obviously a new construction, but look how much care was taken to really make it fit, I think, within the character of the neighborhood. Because Washington, D.C. is a green city for sure, we have lots of trees and flowers and gardens. That means it's a little hard sometimes to get the full view of the architecture. So we'll crisscross a little bit so that we can get good views. There's not a lot of traffic this morning, but the traffic that's out this morning, these people are driving like maniacs. Someone didn't make it around that corner. Now this one I would like to learn more about. This beautiful brick structure here. This is huge. This is huge. Yeah, we're on 13th and Q streets. Oh, visa approval. I'm sorry to hear that. This is 13th and Q. So it says 1600. I believe it says 1600A, 13th Street. So the building I'm looking at, the transom number says 1600A, 13th Street, but you have to put Northwest, NW, because DC is a grid. So you can have the exact same addresses in Northeast, Northwest, North, Southeast, and Southwest. So this is Northwest. And now when we talk about row houses, we could have cookie cutter, identical row houses, or we can have this variety here. And we've seen when I printed out my notes previously, when we were up in Calorama, and we looked at the row houses, but we saw that they were actually built in different years. They're not identical, right? The architects took care to make some changes. So while you can see the main features are generically the same, you can see some have a pitched roof, some have different ornamentation around the windows, some have a slightly different style in this bay window area. And then you have the mix of the painted brick and the exposed brick. That makes for nice variety. Homes tend to look, how can I put this? Like, not so good when they're just cookie cutter. They tend to look cheap. They tend to look prefab when they're identical. So the variety even helps to make what might be modest homes, and these were not modest homes back then, by the way, but what might be sort of modest homes look even more affluent when they look different. Now here in the middle of this block, we have a church. And that's, I won't say it's rare, but typically in the United States, churches are standalone buildings. Okay, Ramsey. Hi, Ramsey. Bye, Ramsey. This is a friendly group here. We don't fall for that here. But as I was saying, in the United States, you'll typically see the churches stand alone. In some cities, you'll see them built into a block or at the corner. But typically the churches, even in the cities, are standalone. Now this is a prototypical 19th century row house. This one's beautiful. Exposed brick, mansard type roof, not a pure mansard roof. Bay windows, pretty simple. This one has a yard. The corner homes, just like today, obviously cost more back then. They're bigger, they have more land. We're on Corkerin Street, Corcoran Street. Hello, Habib. Good morning. This is just a peaceful, beautiful, narrow street here. Corkerin Street. Oh, look at this one with the sweeping staircase. Okay, this is going on my list of favorites for sure. Look at that staircase. Thank you, Space Nut. I'll have to go into the architectural site. There's an architectural site I use. It has a little information about the architects and who paid for it. Now, is this a true duplex? Because they're mirror images of each other. This one here and this one here. If you look to the roof and on the way down, and you can see the sweeping staircases. Just beautiful. Just beautiful. I have to do more research about duplexes because many of them, one would assume they were a larger structure divided in two. But sometimes when you see the steps or the doorways, it looks like that was always part of the design. So, oh, and there's another one. That car's in the way now. All right, so this is going to be my architectural research for today when I get back home, is to check out these homes on Corkerin Street. Ramsey, I keep thinking, there we go. That's what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to do. But I want to do some research on this street. And here we are, another find. I've never walked down this street before. It's a huge city. There's like, I could walk down a street every day for the rest of my life and still not hit them all. But look at that. Not something you would expect to find in Washington, D.C. And then this one here next door with the tiny porch. That is the tiniest of porches. So I will definitely do some research on this street. And then in the middle of like a exposed brick, light green, beige, painted terracotta, you got bright blue, and it works. It totally works. I am all for variety in the architecture. Look at that one. Daryl. Today is not a cone day, Daryl. Good morning, Daryl. So glad to see you. We are north of Logan Circle. We're on Corkerin Street. And we are just discovering so many beautiful residences. Hi, William. Hello, Abad. No, there's no cones. I promise I'll be on the lookout for cones. I'm not down near the National Mall where they're getting ready for the fireworks tonight. You would see a bunch of cones there. Now this one's beautiful. Very light cream color with a purple accent around this one. Yeah, I'm avoiding that area today. Although I don't think it would be too busy right now. I just thought I wanted to come to a residential area. So I'm gonna cross over so we can get a look back where we just, on the side that we just walked on. So that's not exposed brick, that's painted. So some of the brick is painted terracotta. Thank you, William. I'm doing great, and I hope you are too. If you're in the US, happy Independence Day. If not, happy Friday. A Friday is a holiday as well. Now here's another one of those duplexes. All right, I'm definitely looking these up. I've not seen this architecture in any other part of Washington, D.C. This is Corkerin Street in Northwest. We're just north of Logan Circle. And these duplexes are magnificent. And they have these sweeping staircases. Nice little gardens, and you can see a sculpture here in this garden. Wow, so I'm definitely coming back to check that out. A little brick garden going on here. And here's the one with the purple. Like that. Absolutely love that. It is a nice street. So we're bounded here by 14th Street to the west, 13th Street to the east, and I hope the sun's just not in the best place today. It's morning, but this is just one quiet, beautiful, dare I use the word quaint block here in Washington, D.C. Daryl, yeah, we were talking about the wrought iron work and the variety in these railings. And in some cases, the work around the windows. I mean, and even this just beautiful fence here, brick and wrought iron fence in front of the garden. I'm sort of amazed, but not amazed that I haven't been here before. Hi, Bob. I really am. I've lived and worked in and around Washington my whole life, but I could walk down these streets, one street a day for the rest of my life and still not see everything. It's a big, beautiful city. And yeah, you can hear the birds. Well, everyone, I want to thank you all so much for joining me today. This was an unplanned treat. I mean, I knew Logan Circle was a wonderful place to check out architecture, but I had no idea what we would find here on Corkerin Street, just a few blocks up. Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna go back down here to this one with the sweeping staircase. Sorry for the sun. I'm trying to find that. Try to find some space in some shade where I won't be shooting into the sun. So let's land on this one for Independence Day. Beautifully decorated, beautifully designed. Everyone, I hope you have a fantastic weekend wherever you are. If you're one of my countrymen, happy Independence Day. Wherever you are, happy Friday. Thanks for joining me. Take care.